So very good afternoon, all of you. And today we are conducting an interaction session with Mr. Nitin K. Biju. And he was a faculty in our institute a few years back. And he has cleared his 2019 examination of the UPSC with a very high rank of 89. So over to you, Mr. Nitin. I will not take much of your time. And please do an interaction session with our students and please give them some tips how to clear this IAS Prelims 2021 examination. So over to you, Mr. Nitin.
Hello everyone. Thank you Anshu ma'am and Achievers IAS Academy for inviting me to this session. First of all, Anshu ma'am have already introduced me. So I'm Nitin K. Biju. I secured All India rank of 89 in the Civil Service Examination 2019, and currently I am allotted a Indian Revenue Service Income Tax. I completed my engineering from Bangalore. My branch was Electronics and Communication Engineering. I graduated in 2016. This was my third attempt. In my first attempt, I was able to clear the prelims. However, I was not able to clear the mains in the first attempt. So in the third attempt, I was able to clear the exam entirely. So Now, for today's session, I'll be focusing mainly on the strategy to clear the prelims of 2021. Then briefly, I will also discuss about some tips related to mains and even interview. But the main focus of the discussion will be the prelims, because prelims is getting tougher year by year. And the rejection rate in prelims is also very high, around 2 to 3% maximum. Students who are attending the prelims are able to clear it. So it is very important and to understand that, like, what it takes to clear the preliminary examination. I'll be focusing on that. So first of all, when it comes to prelims examination, I would like to subdivide the areas which we have to study into three parts. So one is the static part, the second part is the current affairs, and the third part of preparation for prelims is the test series. Now I'll discuss each of these parts individually. So the three main pillars of prelims is static, current affairs, and the the test series. Now coming to the static part, so one by one we'll cover each of this. So coming to the static part, we have to start with the NCRTs. So NCRTs, if you are a complete beginner, NCRTs will provide a good basis, and also questions are being directly asked from the NCRTs also for the preliminary examination. So start with the NCRTs. NCRTs also you need to prioritize. You need to prioritize in such a way that the important NCRTs are covered. So which all are the important NCRTs? So it's better if you have sufficient time, then you can definitely cover all the NCRTs. But now prelims is like around 5.5 months. So now it is the time to prioritize. So start with important subjects like history and geography. You can start with class 6th of history. So class 6th of history deals with ancient India. Class 7th of history deals with medieval India. Class 8 deals with modern India. Similarly, class 12, you have theme 1, theme 2, theme 3. So this again deals with ancient, medieval, and modern India respectively. So in this manner, you should be able to cover the history NCRTs first. Then you go to the next subject, geography, the cover the NCRT. So NCRTs are very important for subjects like history and geography. Then for other subjects also, for social issues also, there are NCRTs. But the importance, like you don't need to start from 6th standard NCRT for social issues, and also there also you need to prioritize. Coming to polity also, the 11th and 12th NCRTs can be read. And economy, another important subject where the NCRTs become important is economics. In economics, we have a class 12th NCRT called Introduction to Macroeconomics. So this becomes a very important NCRT in the prelims preparation. So in this manner, you should be able to cover all the important NCRTs from 6th to 12th, prioritizing the subjects. So once you are done with the NCRTs, and the NCRT should not take much time. Okay, and it is not necessary to make notes from the NCRTs, because they are like very basic, very basic, and you can just highlight it. So, and making notes take a lot of time. So, due to paucity of time, it is recommended to just read the NCRT and highlight the important MCQ or potential questions for MCQ, just highlight it. So this is the way that I used to prepare the NCRTs. So once the NCRTs are done, then it is time to prepare for the standard books of the individual subjects. So when it comes to the standard books, every subject ensure that you go for only one standard book. You don't have to read a lot of standard books, and if you read a lot of standard books, the main issue is that you won't be able to revise it. So revision is very important throughout this exam. So what you have to do is once you have completed the NCRTs, you go to the standard book. And standard book, the book lists are like available everywhere on the internet. For example, for Indian polity, you have to read Lakshmikant. Then for other subjects like modern India, for modern history, you have to read either Bipin Chandra or Spectrum. So you don't have to read both of the NCR, both of the standard books. Choose one and stick to it. And it is very important to revise all these NCRTs and the standard book multiple times. It is very difficult for us to remember the what we have studied only if we study the books only once. So it is very important that before the actual prelims, you should be able to revise all these books multiple times. I would suggest at least like 3 times you should be able to revise all the subjects. So what happens? So now I have covered the static part. That is the first pillar of the UPSC prelims, static part. Under that, 2 subparts, NCRTs, and 1 standard book for each subject. Now, if you have any doubt regarding it, you can just note the doubts, and at the end of the session, I'll definitely clarify your doubts. So now I'll provide a framework, and your doubts you can post during the question and answer session. Now, coming to the second aspect of the preliminary examination is the current affairs. So for current affairs, it is preferable to study 1 year of current affairs. So there are people who study 2 year of current affairs also. So it is not that necessary. So what my focus was to focus only on 1 year of current affairs before the prelims. So this year the prelims will be on June 27th, right? So starting from June 2020, you should be thorough. So how to prepare current affairs? So for current affairs also, there are mainly 2 sources. The first source is the Hindu newspaper. So you should be regularly studying the Hindu newspaper daily. There is no substitute for Hindu newspaper. You should be preparing it thoroughly. Daily you should be reading it. You should be saving the important articles. But again, whether you take the notes or not, you should have to take the notes or not. That entirely depends on you. If you're taking a lot of time for note making, then I would not suggest to make a lot of notes for prelims, because in prelims the syllabus is very vast. So if you try to make notes from every source which you try to read, then it will become a huge task, and you will end up not preparing the right thing. So Hindu newspaper you have to read. Then along with Hindu newspaper, you have to complement with a monthly magazines which are being released by the institute. So these are the 2 main sources for the current affairs portion. So the Hindu newspaper, daily reading, plus substituting and revising it with the monthly magazine which is being released. So these are the 2 main sources for the current affairs part. So once you complete substantial amount of the static syllabus as well as the current affairs syllabus, then it is important to prepare on exam oriented manner. That is, this happens when you start practicing the test series. So it is very important that you practice a lot of test series and you develop a technique of writing the prelims examination. So many people, what they do is they keep on studying the static part, they keep on studying the current affairs part, but they fail to write the test series. So this is an area where you have to focus on. This test series is very important, because through test series you get a lot of technique to attend the prelims questions. So that is very important, because if how much of static and current affairs you have studied, normally a person won't be 100% sure of more than 35 to 40 questions in the actual prelims. So that is my personal experience. So in the 3 prelims which I wrote, I was not able to 100% surely know the answer of more than around 40 questions. So, but just by writing 40 questions, even if everything is correct, you will get only 80 marks, which is not sufficient to clear the prelims examination. So this is the area where you have to apply a lot of techniques to make the answers correct in the preliminary examination. So the various techniques which I have personally used, one is the elimination technique. So this will be the most important technique which is which will help you to sail through the preliminary examination. So a person should know how to eliminate options and find the answer. So elimination can be of two types. One is either you eliminate two options or you eliminate one option, right? So if you are able to eliminate two options at least, then you have remaining two options left from which you have to choose the answer. So there, what you have to do is you have to definitely attempt that question and attempt that question. And when it comes to the questions where you have eliminated only one option, in those questions you have to apply caution, right? So you have to think like how many you have to see after attending the 100% sure questions and the questions where you eliminated two options, you have to see how many questions you have written in total. Assume like you have already written around 80 to 85 questions through these two techniques, then you can definitely stop attending them. Don't take more risk, right? So but if you assume that you are able to write only 55 to 60 questions which are like 100% sure plus two option eliminated ones, then you should take more risk because you have to attempt around anyway 75 plus questions to clear the preliminary examination. The number of attempted questions varies actually. For some people, they are able to clear it with around 70 to 75 questions. In my case, I used to attempt around 80 to 85 questions. So that was my area. So if I'm able to attempt 80 to 85 questions, which with the two techniques, that is 100% sure and the 50-50 questions, then I would stop there. I would not take more risk. Also, there are people who attempt more than 90 questions also. So how do you know how much questions is your area? This comes from practicing of the preliminary test series, right? So you should be able to attempt a maximum test series as possible. So test series also consists of two things. One is that actual UPSC previous year question papers. So that you should be attending. So that will actually give you an idea about the actual standard of the UPSC papers. So you'll be able to understand, okay, these are the techniques which can be successfully applied in the actual prelims through when you go through the previous year questions. Apart from that, you should be attending the test series of the institutes, like the institute which you are studying. So you should be able to attend a lot of practice question papers. So the question papers from the institutes will actually be a bit more difficult than the actual prelims. So if you practice with the tougher question papers, then you will be easily able to clear the actual prelims. So ensure that you practice at least 30 plus question papers before you sit for the actual preliminary examination. So these are some of the, so this is a very important thing. So I'll briefly again once more tell you what all you need to clear the prelims examination. There are three pillars. One is the static part, where you include the NCRTs and the standard books, right? Then comes the current affairs, where you read the Hindu newspaper and a monthly magazine. Then comes the test series, where you practice the previous year questions plus the test series which is given by the institute. Okay, so if you are able to thoroughly practice this much, if you are able to do this much, then you can definitely say that you are well prepared for the preliminary examination. And let me tell you one thing: clearing prelims is more like about the preparation rather than luck. So I have heard many people telling that the paper is becoming a lot tougher, and you need pure luck to clear it. There is a luck factor involved, especially when you when you attempt the elimination technique, apply the elimination technique and all. So some questions are dependent on luck, but that is the luck part is very minimal here. So a person who has well prepared will definitely know before writing the prelims that he has a good chance of clearing it. So initially itself, before attempting the question, the actual prelims itself, you should be having a confidence that yeah, as per analysis of my preparation, I have a good and fair chance of clearing the prelims. So if you should be able to get this confidence in you while attempting the preliminary exam even before the preliminary examination. So this is very important. Just by going to prelims without preparation and praying on luck and depending on luck for clearing the prelims examination, that usually doesn't work out. That I have not seen any person who cleared prelims through pure luck. So this is one thing. So what I mean to say is that you will definitely know whether you are going to clear the prelims or you are going to fail the prelims. So this before the actual prelims itself. Okay. So this is one thing. So this is one aspect of it. And so I have talked about the preparation part. Now I'll briefly mention about the exam part. Like on the day of the examination, many people screw up the examination. What they do is they like when they find that when they read some initial questions and they find some of the questions which are tough, they lose the confidence. So this is also one important mistake done by the UPSC aspirants, that is losing the confidence and panicking in the exam. So this thing should be avoided. You should ensure that whatever how much ever difficult the exam is, you should be able to finish it with a calm mind. You should be very much patient, and if you are able to be calm throughout those 2 hours, then you will be able to find some clues in the question itself. Then you will be able to do apply some elimination technique, and in this manner you'll be able to clear the exam. So ensure that whatever happens, whatever question come for the examination, you are not going to panic. So this is another aspect. This is the another most important aspect of the examination. Don't panic in the examination. And uh, if you have already prepared a lot of test series and all, you will know that yeah, I'll be able to attend around 80 to 85 questions. So if you are already in that range, then don't take more risk. Don't take more risk. Don't try to attend a lot of questions. Don't do unnecessary guessing. So guessing is one pure guessing, like total guessing is one mistake people do. If you don't know an answer, if you're not able to eliminate even one option, then never attend that question. Okay, so only if you're able to eliminate two options, you try to attend that question. Never attend a question if you're not able to eliminate even a single option, right? So this will actually reduce the negative marking and you will get more chance of clearing the preliminary examination. So these are some of the uh, a framework. I would say a framework to clear the preliminary examination. That is the static, the current affairs, and the test series. Okay. Then your calmness, your calm and composed nature on the day of the preliminary examination. So these are some of the points which I have to share you. Some of the tips which I have to share with you. Then coming to now I'll briefly mention about mains and the interview part also. So after that, I'll open the question floor, the platform for question and answer session. Now coming to mains examination, the most important part of mains examination is again answer writing. So for prelims, you have already read a lot of content, and you need some extra syllabus. You need some extra content for mains. Some extra syllabus is there. For example, post independence India is there, world history is there, in this ethics is there, and optional is there. So this content you should be preparing, and you should be for mains you should be preparing very short notes which you can will be able to revise before the examination. And apart from the preparation part, I'm not focusing on the content part now. I'll focus on the answer writing part, because personally what I felt is answer writing plays a major role in the in clearing the mains examination. So how much answers you are able to write, assume like whether you are able to write 20 out of 20 questions, or you are only able to write 15 questions. All this matters in mains, because if you start leaving one question in every paper, then that will definitely affect the chances of clearing the mains examination. So try to practice a maximum test series before the mains examination. Personally, I had written around 28 to 30 mains test in those 3 month gap between the prelims and the mains. So try to attempt maximum test series as much as possible. So here also you can definitely include sources like Yojana, Kurukshetra. So you don't have to study both Yojana and Kurukshetra, but if you're able to study at least one of them, then definitely you will be able to score better marks in the mains examination. And when it comes, especially for what to say, if you're optional is like something like public administration and all, then Yojana becomes a compulsory magazine for the mains examination. So that is one aspect. Then the answer writing practice. Then so in this manner you should be, and some tips for mains, I would say you should try to write all the questions. You should try to attempt all the questions, even if you are not able to, you don't know the answer, still you should be able to write a general as well as a relevant answer for that particular question. Also you should try to add more diagrams into the answer, make the answers mains answers more presentable. Presentation comes through mainly giving subheadings, uh, giving diagrams, flow charts. So this kind of creativity should be brought into the answers. You can do a mix of paragraph writing and point writing the answer in point format. So in this manner, you should be able to bring more and more creativity into the mains answer writing, mains answers. So in this manner, you will be able to get an edge over the other aspirants who are writing the mains examination. So and write all the questions and try to complete and try to stick to the time from the first question itself. What one mistake which people do in mains answer writing is they give more time for the first couple of questions, and when it comes to the last questions, they are not getting the time to attend it. So there also you should ensure that from the first question onwards, you should be able to stick to the time limit. For a 10 marker question, the time limit for the question is around 7 to 7.5 minutes. So you should be able to write a 10 marker within that allotted time. And when it comes to a 15 marker, you should be able to write the 15 marker within 11 minutes. So here also you should be able to do answer writing practice a lot. If you don't write the answers like regularly, then you won't be able to do it. So ensure that you practice answer writing regularly, and on the day of the exam also give the necessary time for every particular question, whether it is the last first question or the last question. Give the time which is the most necessary. And coming to interview preparation, so interview preparation is comparatively easy compared to prelims and mains. So here you don't have a lot of sources. You have to definitely revise the subjects which you have already prepared for prelims and mains. But apart from that, I would say it is more current affairs relevant. Current affairs relevant. So what I did was like I increased the number of newspapers. So instead of sticking to only Hindu newspaper, I included the Indian Express also. In Indian Express, you have some pages which are very important. And for economy related article, you can definitely read the Economic Times. Okay, there is an explained page in the Indian Express. So in this manner, you can diversify your sources so that the answer you I mean, your viewpoint on diverse issues will become more what is a diverse, as well as you can see you can do a 360 analysis of the issues. So in this manner, focus completely on the newspapers, revise your optionals. So they in interview they can ask about the optionals also, the place, and there is something called as DAF, detailed application form, where you mention your place of birth, your hobbies, your interests, etc. So questions can come from those parts also. So try to have a 360 analysis about yourself as well as the issues that are happening in India as well as globally. So in this manner, you should be able, and the way you answer the question. So all this, the presentation in the interview, all those things matters. So, so these are some of the points related to interview preparation. So I think I have covered like very briefly about prelims, mains, and interview. Now I would like to answer the questions. Like if I am able to get your doubts, then I'll be very much willing to answer the questions in whatever best manner I can do it. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Mr. Nidin, for interaction with our students. And students, now you can ask your questions with sir, and your questions should be precise. So please ask your questions.
So for current affairs, so good morning, sir. Good afternoon. So
Hi, good afternoon.
hello. So for
Yeah.
current affairs, what just following one instead of
Hmm.
following just reading the paper, any website which also gives a daily analysis is enough, right? Along with your monthly.
Actually, I would suggest against it, because you can definitely read the daily current affairs which is being provided. That is like you should do it, but you should not replace it with the Hindu newspaper. So that is a bad idea, because newspaper actually it has opinions, especially the editorial page. It has opinions of various uh, uh, about various experts in different fields. They'll have their opinion. They'll give their opinion in the editorial page. So reading that will definitely help you have a lot of different perspective about that subject. But when it comes to the daily or monthly current affairs, that is mostly fact oriented, and it focuses on the prelims MCQs mainly. Some mains analysis will also be there, but however, it is not recommended to replace the newspaper with it, but you have to complement the newspaper with those magazines. So that is what I would recommend. Also, another thing is the end point of this exam is not just prelims or mains. Okay, if you are clearing prelims, you should definitely clear the mains. Also, you should definitely clear the interview also. So, newspaper becomes important for all three stages of the examination. So, by reading monthly magazine and daily current affairs and all, you'll definitely clear the prelims. But when it comes to mains, in that 3 months, you should you won't be able to actually diversify your answers, present a lot of dimensions in the answer, and all if you have not read the newspaper regularly. And when it comes to interview, newspaper becomes the most important source. You can never replace newspaper for interview and mains. So it is recommended that you continue reading the Hindu newspaper. Initially, it might be difficult to comprehend what is written in the newspaper due to the language of it, but over a period of time, within like 1 week, 2 week or something, you'll get a grasp over the newspaper. So I would suggest that you should do it. And uh, coming to the technique of reading the newspaper, you don't have to spend a lot of time in reading the newspaper, and you don't have to read all the pages in the newspaper. So the way I read the newspaper is like I'll start with the first page. So after reading the first page, then I'll go directly to the editorial page. And in the editorial page, you should actually see which all editorials are important. Try to relate it with the UPSC syllabus. So if an editorial is relatable to the UPSC syllabus, then you have to read it and try to summarize the editorial into 2 or 3 lines. Otherwise, highlight the keywords which are given in that newspaper editorial and try to save the newspaper article for further reference. So in this manner, you will be able to get a diverse viewpoint on a particular subject. For example, now agricultural protests are going on in the country. So if you have read the newspaper continuously for some days, then you will definitely get a diverse viewpoint of various people. You'll get some articles which are supporting the government. You will get some articles which are opposing the government. So when you read it continuously for like around 4 or 5 days or something, you'll get a total 360-degree understanding about that subject. So this understanding you may not get in the magazine. So this is why I say that you don't replace the newspaper with the magazine. So after reading the editorial page, then you can go to the world page, economy page, the news page, and all. So in this manner, uh, to be to be honest, you should not read more than 7 to 8 pages of the newspaper, and you should not spend more than 1 to 1.5 hours on newspaper. So you should be able to reach to this level. So this will definitely help your preparation in a long way. Okay, as I told you, it's not just sufficient to clear the prelims, but you have to, if you're clearing the prelims, you should clear all stages of the examination. So their newspaper is important. So I hope this cleared your doubt.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Punisha, for asking the question. I hope all your doubts are cleared now for the current affairs. And I'll request other students also to ask their questions. Few are preparing for this year and few are preparing for the next year. So,
Sir,
Yeah, tell me.
this is Ramya. Sir, I have question for um, notes preparation. Like we do prefer to read from standard books for polity or history or economy. So,
Mhm.
do we really need to maintain notes?
From the prelims perspective, it is better that you don't make much notes. For example, if consider the case of polity. Okay, polity, if you are reading the Lakshmikant book, then preparing notes from it will become a very huge task, right?
Yeah.
Also, it will take a lot of time, and the polity Lakshmikant book is like every page is important in that, and you will end up preparing notes which are actually bulkier than the book itself. So it is preferable not to make notes from some of the books. Another, the way which I used was to use a highlighter. Just to use a highlighter, highlight the important parts, important keywords or sentences in the textbook itself. And you can, in the textbook itself, you can highlight it as P or P for prelims or M. If you feel that this part is relevant for mains, then you can mark M on that part. So when you come and revise the same book multiple times, so when you come back, you just have to read the highlighted part. So this applies for polity, history, as well as like all the bulky subjects. You don't really have to prepare notes of all the subjects. But when it this is for the prelims. But when it comes to mains, you have to prepare notes, and the notes should be very crisp, and you should be able to revise it like multiple times. In my case, like for mains GS1, I had 20-page notes. GS2, I had 20-page notes. So in this manner, very crisp notes should be prepared for mains. This is one aspect. It should not get bulky, and also that is one aspect which you have to keep in mind.
And one more thing is, like, in our preparation, we will go through many n number of years. Like if we see history, we have lot of years. Do we really need to remember all the years?
It is preferable if you know the important years, but it is humanly not possible to remember all the years, right? So how much ever you can do it, you do it. That's it. You don't have to remember all the years. If you're and even UPSC doesn't directly ask the questions which are where you have to know the exact year. What UPSC asks is usually chronology based questions. So if you have an idea about what happened at what point of time, like assume UPSC has given 4 events, and if you approximately know, okay, this happened during the 1900s, or this happened during 1890s, so that idea will be sufficient to answer most of the questions, and at least you will be able to eliminate some of the options. But remembering all the dates, it's impossible, and no one can do it. So that effort, you don't have to put much effort into that, but it is preferable to have an A4 sheet where you have written the main day, the main years. For example, non-cooperation movement was this year, then Swaraj movement, the other one, civil disobedience, Quit India movement. So Simon Commission was in this year. So this main events, you can definitely make a list of it. A single A4 sheet which you can revise very fast. So that is useful for remembering the names, but don't try to remember all the names, all the years. Yeah.
Okay. And coming to, I have one more question. Like you secured to 89 rank.
Yes.
Like you said it's IRS.
Yes, it is IRS.
Is it your preferred position, or it's allotted position? Like it's like IPS. Yeah.
So this is the question which I am actually I'm hearing for a lot of time. Like everyone have to ask the same question to me. So this IRS was not my first preference. My first preference was IAS. What happened is this year, from this year onwards, the government has a new reservation category, that is economically weaker sections. Right, EWS quota is there. So earlier, till last year, a person who got, a general category person who is within 90 ranks will be able to get IAS. But this year, what happened is, due to EWS quota, 10% of the seats will be given to EWS candidates. So 10% is from the total number of IAS seats, right? So IAS total number of seats are around 180 every year. So 10% of 180 means 18 seats. So 18 seats will be reserved to the EWS category. So, and this 18 seats will be taken from the general category seats. So for general category, we had 90 seats earlier. So 90 minus 18, now it is 72 seats for general category for IAS. Okay, so if you want to get IAS in general category, you have to be within that 72 seats. Like this year, the last rank for IAS was 77. And my rank was 89. So because of that, I was not able to get IAS, and I was allocated to IRSIT.
So your second option is IRS.
Second, it was my third option. Like IPS, I couldn't actually get it due to medical. So you have this extra medical checkup in IPS. So IRSIT was my third preference, and I was not interested in Indian Foreign Service. So IFS was my fifth preference. So that's how it came to my third preference.
Okay. And yesterday there are some another like reserved list is released. So does they get Group A, Group B positions, or?
That again depends on the vacancies, but they won't be getting the top post. Like they'll be allocated the services like Defense Account Service, IDAS, IDES, like that. A lot of services are there. So they'll be allocated a service based on the vacancies and the rank, but I don't think they'll be getting the top services because their mark is like less. That's why they are in the result list. Like the result list is the list of people who have missed the final cutoff for around 1 mark, 2 mark, 3 marks, like that.
Okay.
They won't be getting the All India services. Yeah,
Yeah. Thank you very much, Nidin sir.
yeah, you're welcome.
So thank you so much, Nitin, to answer the queries of the students. There is one more. So I think Megha's question has also been answered. And Muhammad Aftab, he has written his question on the chat box. That is, what was the daily strategy to prepare the UPSC according to UPSC syllabus, and how to stay
Okay.
motivated and overcome anxiety. So this is a very important thing because we see a lot of anxiety among the students because the syllabus is really huge, and because they have to mention everything from their current affairs. So anxiety also we have seen a lot in our students, and other students as well. So what was
Mm. Hello, am I audible now?
yeah, you're audible.
Yeah, yeah. Coming to anxiety, what it is very much understandable that we feel anxious when we are preparing for this exam, because the exam is tough. We might spend a lot of years preparing it, and still the selection is not guaranteed. The selection rate is very less. So anxiety is a very common thing, and we have to accept that it is very much normal to feel anxious. It is very much normal to get scared about the examination process. But so being anxious is not the issue, but how you manage to overcome it when you are anxious. So that matters the most. What you can do is like, you don't have to overstress yourself. So I have heard like people preparing for like a lot of hours, like I have heard 12 hours, 14 hours, like that I have heard it. But for me, I can't prepare that much, I can't study that much, and that will actually increase my anxiety rather than increasing my chances of clearing the examination. So you have to have a bit of like, you should find your comfort zone. Like okay, in my case, for me, like I am comfortable preparing 7 to 8 hours daily. Okay, so try to limit within that time. Then don't try to overstress yourself. So whenever you're feeling anxious, whenever you're feeling saturated due to studies, you should take a rest. You should take a rest. You can have a hobby. You can have a hobby where you pursue that hobby, and you can have a friends group, a small group of friends who are preparing. You can hang out with them. You can go out. In my case, I used to go out in Bangalore, like to places when I feel that I need a break. So ensure that you give a regular break to yourself. Have a hobby. In my case, I used to play football like every Sunday and all. So that will actually take your mind off the examination process, and you will be fresh, and you will be coming back a bit more motivated in the next day. So that is what I used to do. And another thing is that have confidence in yourself. So anxiety comes when you have a lot of self doubt on yourself. So you don't never see, even if no one else believes that you will clear the examination, you should believe in yourself. You should be like 100% self confident that at one point of the time you will be able to clear the examination. So if you have this self confidence will definitely tackle the anxiety issues. So I was pretty confident that I may not clear in first attempt or second attempt, but I will definitely clear one day. So that kind of confidence actually helped me to fight anxiety. So you should also have that confidence, plus have hobbies, have a friend circle of serious aspirants. So that would actually motivate you to prepare more. In my case, I'm a person who can't prepare in home, sitting in home alone. That will create a lot of anxiety for me. So I used to go to a library, I used to sit in the library and prepare. So that used to actually reduce my anxiety a lot. So these are some of the uh, techniques which I use to reduce my anxiety. Yeah.
Yeah, so thank you so much, Nitin, to answer this question. And to reduce anxiety, I think you should also do the meditation because meditation is very important. So half an hour
Yeah.
morning and half an hour in the night before sleeping. If the
Mhm.
student can do the meditation, that is really very important. So that your mind will
Yes.
be fresh, and whatever you are studying, that will also go inside your mind, and you will be able to remember it for the long time.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm not able to see the chat box questions. Can somebody read it? Like, I see.
So there's Apeksha's question here that can you brief about how you could manage to make 20 pages notes to GS papers despite huge syllabus in GS of mains? So maybe that's
Okay.
what we will be taking. So you can write your questions in the chat box. Okay, we are running short of time now. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, coming to Apeksha's question, see, that is when you understand what the UPSC actually demands during the mains examination. For example, consider the subject called as history. So in history, if you analyze the previous year questions, you see that 80% of the question comes from a very less area, 20%. That's an 80-20 rule. 80% of the question comes from 20% of the syllabus. So you don't have to read the entire history subject for mains, right? So questions come from some particular topics which are very important. So once you identify these particular topics, you just have to make notes for these particular topics, right? For example, one of the important question for history for mains is the economic impact of the British rule in India. So that is a question which gets repeated in multiple mains, right? So when you know it, when you know you identify the question, then you make the notes of it. While making the notes, also you don't have to use complete sentences. You just have to write the answer in keywords, right? So you might have to just write the various dimensions. One dimension can be impact on agriculture, right? The Rayatwari, Mahalwari. So these systems, farming system, how it has affected the. So you just have to write agriculture dash Rayatwari, Mahalwari, etc. Right? That's it. The impact on agriculture is done. So you can expand it in the actual mains exam, but in your notes it has to be very short. And impact on artisans, impact on the other aspects of the economy, how railways exploited the Indian economy during the British times. So in this manner, you will be writing only the important dimensions. So in one page itself, in one side of the A4 sheet itself, you will be having at least 5 to 6 questions, right? So that much short should be the notes which you are making. So the same applies for all the subjects. For polity, assume polity, current affairs is there. See, identify the topics which were in news. So when I wrote the mains, Lokpal was in news. So I just make a topic Lokpal and I'll write only the keywords in that. Okay, so the notes on Lokpal will it will be done in like one fourth of one side of the A4 sheet. So in this manner, you should be able to uh, uh, concise your notes in such a manner that the total number of pages won't be more than like 20. 20 is like approximate. It can be 25, or for ethics it was only 15 for me. Okay, so in this manner you should be able to make very concise notes. And what happens is this will help you to revise during the break between the mains also. For example, GS1 today the actual mains is happening. GS1 was on 9 to 12 at 9 to 12 p.m. and GS2 happens afternoon itself, 2 to 5 o'clock, right? So in between the 2 hours which we get, we should be able to revise. So if you have to revise during that gap of 2 hours, your note should be very concise. So that was the aim which I had when I prepared the notes. I hope and I answered your question.
Yeah, thank you so much, Nitin, to answer this question. So there is one question about handwriting. So yeah, handwriting is really important. I mean, you have to write fast, clear, okay, so that the examiner can understand. And there is one more question of Divya that can you tips for working professional and can you suggest us how to prepare mind maps?
Okay, for working professionals, I I can say it from like what I have seen from my friends. For example, my roommate in Labasna was a person called Shubham Bansal. He scored All India rank 43. Okay, so he was a working professional. He was working in RBI Grade B, and simultaneously he prepared for the exam, and so he was able to clear with a good rank. So what they used to do was they used to find time during early morning and after the work in late night. So their aim would be something like 4 to 5 hours of quality study in the day. You don't have to prepare for like 8 9 hours. If you're able to improve your efficiency, then you can definitely study what others study in 8 hours you can study it within 4 to 5 hours maximum. If you are very much efficient and you are on the point, if you are very much targeted in your studies, then you can definitely do it. So try to get 2.5 hours in the morning and 2.5 hours in the evening. So the traveling time also can be utilized. So in this manner, you, and also if you are you have all the materials in one source. For example, if you have mobile phone, in a mobile phone, an iPad or a laptop, if you have the soft copy of all the sources easily accessible to you, then that will reduce your work. You don't have to carry a lot of books. So in this manner, try to be more targeted, increase your efficiency, and do the same amount of work which others do in the minimum 4 to 5 hours. In this manner, you will be able to do it. And coming to mind maps you will be able to draw when you think about the topic very well. So if you assume again the agricultural issue, if you write the agriculture, if you want to make the mind map of an agriculture issue, then you have to analyze it from 360 degrees. So what are the demands of the farmers, right? So that will be one branch of the mind map. So demand of the farmers is to legalize MSP. And you will mark like 1, 2, 3 points, three or four demands of the farmers. Legalize MSP, repeal all the farm laws which are being enacted. So in this manner, you'll so that is one branch of the mind map. The second branch can be the government stand. Okay. The third branch can be impact on the agriculture. Right, impact on agriculture. Fourth aspect can be contract farming. So in this manner, if you're able to analyze the issue like on a 360-degree, taking the view of all the stakeholders, okay, in this manner you will be able to draw a good mind map, and definitely mind maps will be more efficient in revising and all. Or even understanding the topic rather than directly writing in point or paragraph format. Mind map will be more effective. It will give a better clarity. So this is how you can make mind maps. Yeah.
So yeah, thank you so much for answering all the questions of the students, and I hope it's really very clear for the students that how to start your preparation and how to be focused about the 2021 prelims examination, mains examination, and the interview. And it was a really nice interactive session. Thank you, Mr. Nidil, for giving us such your precious time. It was really helpful.